Chapter number 16, The Logic of Homeopathy. The logical principles which underlie homeopathic prescribing and are commonly overlooked. It is equally true that 99 homeopathic physicians out of 100 might be surprised or learning that they had been using logic, good or bad, in every prescription they even made. Now, formal logic, with all its fascinating processes, takes no account of the matter of our reasoning of the things reasoned about. Formal logic deals solely with the forms or skeleton of the reasoning itself. The logic of homeopathy. The conclusion of homeopathy consistent with its premises, but its premises are founded upon the truth. Inductive logic defined. The inductive method is in logic is the scientific method that proceeds by induction. It requires exact observation, correct interpretation of the observed facts with the view to understanding when them in relation to each other. Rational explanation of the facts by referring them to their real cause or law. Scientific construction putting the facts into such coordination that the system reached shall agree with the reality. The search for the cause of anything may proceed according to any one of our four methods: the method of agreement, the method of difference, the method of concomitant variation, the method of residues or of residual variation. Before Lord Bacon's time, logic was used principally as an instrument for argument and disputations. Bacon, two ways of investigating and discovering truth. In last analysis, all reasoning is deductive. In deductive reasoning, we do the opposite and infers what will have in consequences of laws. In inductive reasoning, we ascertain what is true of many different things. Logic is science of inference. It teaches how one judgment may infer from other judgments. At first, these ideas are particular, but afterwards the mind unites those which are similar or which agree respect into classes. This is called generalization. Inference is always from generals to particular and not from particular to general. Logic is the science of reasoning and enables us to distinguish between the good reasoning that leads us to the truth, bad reasoning which every day betrays people into error and misfortune. The logical process by which homeopathy was worked out and built up is applicable in every concrete case of homeopathic physician is called upon to treat. Characteristic symptoms. Characteristic symptoms are general symptoms or generalization inferred or deduced from particular symptoms by the logical process of generalizing. Considering the symptoms of pulsatilla, for example, worse in a warm room or better in the open air. Aggravation in a warm room is a keynote, a characteristics, or a general of pulsatilla. Characteristics are the individualizing factors of a case remedy. After deducing the general features of a given case or remedy and logically grouping them, thus determining its individuality, we are in a position of to compare it with other similars. Pathological unity of symptoms. The inductive method brings into view the pathological unity of the symptom of which disease consists, enabling us to identify and name the various forms they take. Every disease is the result of the action upon the living organism of some definite specific individual agent. Pneumonia, diphtheria, measles, smallpox represent the pathological forms in their characteristic general features. The pathological symptoms in definite disease have relative value from their connection with a definite general pathological condition and value from an individual definite drug. Totality of symptom. Generalizing it assigns each details to its proper place and give concrete form to the case so that it may be grasped by the mind in its entirety. It may exclude some of the particular symptoms if they cannot at the time logically relate to the case, such as called accidental symptoms. Basis of homeopathic prescription is the totality of the symptoms of the patient as viewed and interpreted from the standpoint of the prescribing. Individualization. The particular work of prescriber in constructing the totality or case and selecting the remedy is governed throughout by the logical principle of individualization. Each symptom should be complete in elements of location, sensation, modality, or condition of existence. The examination of the symptom, record of the patient, or the study of the case. Examination of materia medica by means of indexes, repertories, etc. for purpose of discovering that remedy. To individualize is to confer particular characteristics upon distinguish. To select or mark as individual, note the peculiar properties of particularize, characterize. The art of generalizing, analysis, comparison, classification, and generalization are the logical processes by which we individualize a case and selection of similar remedy. Mill, in his treatise on logic, says a general truth is but an aggregate of particular truths, a comprehensive expression by which an indefinite number of individual facts are affirmed or denied at once. The mind recognizes and perhaps names the identity or describes its characteristics in comprehensive phrase. The value of a generalization depends upon the data from which it is drawn. Snapshot prescription. Pathologists who jump to the conclusion that microbes are the ultimate cause of the disease. General symptoms. The patient sometimes correctly generalizes parts of his own case, symptoms of his inner consciousness by saying, I feel I am worse in rainy weather. Psychologically, an emotion or a passion such as anger, grief, or jealousy is a complex state of consciousness. The mental symptoms for the final generalization and completion of the totality. Statements or observations that reflect a man's state of mind, his moods, his passions, his fears, his desires and aversions are all generals, but they express the man himself and not merely some part or organism. Symptoms that express subconscious or involuntary action of mind, such as manner of sleeping, peculiar or usual position assumed during sleep or disease, character of dreams or delirium, are generals. Negative general symptoms. Absence of certain striking or customary features of a disease may be a general symptom of a case. Fever without thirst, coldness with aversion to being covered, hunger without appetite, exanthema disease without appearance of eruptions are examples of negative general symptoms. Grading and grouping. Mechanical comparison of one particular symptom with another is better rather than pathological prescribing. The symptoms to be graded and grouped and studied until the individuality of the remedy or case appear distinct and clear before the mind. Memorizing symptom. The attempt to obtain a practical group or working knowledge of the materia medica or even a single remedy by merely memorizing details or single symptom which or will always fail. Proving must be studied for concept of individuality of drug as a whole. Generalization drawn from the observation of particular symptoms in numerous cases both in proving and clinically. Condition of aggravation and amelioration contained in Bodin-Hussain repertory, the greatest masterpiece of analyzing comparison and generalization in our literature. Dramatizing the materia medica. Personification of remedies is an interesting form of materia medica study for those who have a highly developed imagination. This attempt is to bring the imagination in a picture of the drug in human form, taking the material furnished by the prover and following anatomical and physiological lines. He delineates a human figure first in bold, sweeping outline, then in finer and more characteristic touches which give individuality. Even the mental traits of peculiarity are there. Generalizing for repertory work. Boni Hussain, which all Hahnemannian prescriber use, we constantly generalize a single word corresponding to a rubric in the repertory. For example, maliciousness, classified by Boni Hussain under the general heading mind. At first would seem to be a particular symptom, but a little reflection will show it to be a generalization drawn from a number of observations. Physician must be trained psychologist and a logician as well as most alert and accurate observer. The principle which generalize the art of generalization. The mind must be free from biases of preconceived opinions and theories. The subject must be clearly defined. The phenomena must be determined by actual observation. All phenomena must be gathered if possible. Facts must be clearly expressed and recorded in terms of simple facts. The facts having being ascertained and clearly stated, they are to be arranged in natural relation to each other and the subject of inquiring by comparison and generalization. Generalization process proceeds by bringing together similar and related phenomena into groups. Considering their relation to each other and other groups, reducing their general characteristics. Particulars appropriately grouped led to minor generalization. Nothing should be deduced from the fact of observation except what they inevitably include. The analysis of the phenomena must be carried to its utmost limits before the process of synthesis is begun. Law of causation. Any extent by the idea of removing or counteracting the effects of the cause of the disease. Success will depend upon the correct conclusions as to what constitutes the cause or the causes. Failure in medical treatment are due to failure of comprehend and correctly apply the principle of logic known as law of causation.